Are you ready to turn your fear into power? Do you have an overwhelming fear of failure? Does this fear keep you from living your dreams, trying new things, and being the best version of yourself? After you become aware of this fear and decide that it is not serving you, how do you get that fear out of the driver's seat of your life? The overall process of moving through the fear of failure is one of separating your worth from being right and having the answers. That process will be a personal journey of becoming aware of the worth ties that you have, what they are attached to, and building the belief and then the knowledge that your worth and value is innate. You brought it with you and has been inside of you this entire time. The knowledge of your innate worth has been buried underneath the fears and insecurities of your life experiences. It is a process of learning that attaching your worth and value as a person to something outside of yourself that you cannot control isn't real truth, but it's also not serving you. The beautiful thing is once you have this awareness, you also have the ability to make a choice. This wasn't a choice you could make before because you didn't even realize this was an option. It was a blind spot. A word of caution when experiencing the dawn of awareness regarding something you were previously completely blind to. Self-judgment will rush in so hard and so fast, the weight of it might feel defeating. This is where we are going to turn to the powerful tool of compassion for ourselves. Because what will happen if we are not aware and mindful of the obstacles that will show up in our path while we are on our journey of growth is the obstacle might feel insurmountable and completely stop us in our tracks. But if we are aware that the obstacle of self-judgment is going to be there, we can prepare and manage our expectations. Then it isn't a surprise and we can welcome the judgment for coming along for the journey at times, allowing it to teach us any lessons that will be valuable. Thank it for the lesson and then let it go on its merry little way. Judgment does not need to stay in our lives. We do not let judgment or fear get in the driver's seat of our life. Here's the truth though. There are many times which we have let fear or judgment or our insecurities be the driver of our life, not even knowing that's what we were doing. We were missing the awareness piece. Quite often, when we are unconsciously doing something that isn't really serving us, we are in a place of reacting instead of responding to our life. When we are in this place of reacting instead of responding, it's because we are missing a crucial space piece. The space I'm referring to is the same one Viktor Frankl talks about in his timeless book, Man's Search for Meaning, when he says, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. But if we don't know that first we need that space to then be able to choose, how do we go about creating it? We have to be aware first of what we are missing. Then battle the self-judgment that inevitably comes with awareness, and go about the process of reprogramming our beliefs about our self-worth and our value. Once we no longer have our worth attached to something outside ourselves, we are well on the path to cultivating and nurturing the best version of ourselves. What happens when our worth is tied to something outside of ourselves? People and experiences come along and start pushing and pulling on our worth ties, and we become like a string puppet being pushed and pulled in our own life, instead of being the captain of our own ship. If this message resonates with you and you would like step-by-step support with this process, we have a wonderful 7-week program called Innate Healing. Click the link below to schedule a free 15-minute call with one of our therapists to see if it would be a good fit for you. I also want to support you as much as I can today with tools and processes on how to move through the fear of failure. Here are some of my favorite things to do in the moment. Box breathing. It is a simple process of calming the nervous system and returning to the present moment. Okay, so I'm going to teach you how to do this really fast. This is so easy. It's something I regularly do with my kids if they're fighting and just in a place of arousal. So arousal isn't a reference to anything sexual. It just means your emotions are heightened. And this is a powerful tool for just bringing down those emotions and calming that vagus nerve. And it's called box breathing because you're going to draw a box in the air. Okay. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to draw a box, and the top line of your box is going to be your in-breath, and it's going to be about 3 seconds. And so you're going to breathe in, And then you're going to draw the side of your box and you're going to hold your breath. And then when you get to the bottom of your box, you're going to breathe out. And then you're going to draw the other side of your box and you're going to hold. And so it's a simple process of breathing in, holding, breathing out, holding. And it doesn't need to be exact, but I had my kids do that at least 3 times. And what that does, doing 3 full sets 3 times, is it completely calms down. Well, it pretty quickly calms down the nervous system. And I call it a 30-second meditation because it brings you to the present moment and it gives you some space, the space that we've talked about. And so that is a powerful, easy tool to use at any time, anywhere. The next tool that I want to share with you is questioning potential false or incongruent beliefs. An incongruent belief is something that isn't true, but in our heart, we've come to accept it as true. And quite often, there's this knowledge of this push and pull that in our mind, we might know one thing or think one thing, but that isn't the way we feel. And that's what creates that pull and that incongruent belief. Recognize that the creation of these incongruent beliefs are a coping mechanism. If you experienced abuse or mistreatment in your childhood, there's a good chance that you took responsibility for that abuse. And to some extent, you thought it was because there was something wrong with you. And so as an adult, and with hindsight and understanding, you logically know that the mistreatment or abuse that you received had nothing to do with you. And it had everything to do with the abuser. But in your heart, you still feel like you're responsible to some extent. That is a perfect example of an incongruent belief that is no longer serving us, but was a coping mechanism that you created in the moment to survive and to make sense of what you were experiencing. This belief is a coping mechanism that might have served a purpose once, but it is no longer serving you. Thank it for the part it played in your life and let it go. Ponder on what you want to receive in place of that incongruent belief. Okay, the last tool I would like to share with you is the process of writing 3 statements. And these statements are, I am grateful for, I acknowledge, and my intention is. Putting ourselves in a place of gratitude completely shifts our perspective. And I'm not saying that you should jump ahead and pretend to be grateful for awful, horrible things in your life. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about choosing things that you are genuinely grateful for and you appreciate. Because sometimes when we're stuck in this weight and haze of incongruent beliefs or shame or guilt or loneliness, we forget the beautiful things. And so take the time to write 3 different things that you are grateful for. And then the next step is I acknowledge. And these are things you acknowledge about yourself. These are strengths that you have. And so you're shifting that outward gratitude for other things or people or experiences in your life to inwardly, basically acknowledging and being grateful of your strengths and your attributes and all the wonderful things that you bring to the world. And after you have done the 3 statements, or after you have done 3 I am grateful for statements, and then 3 I acknowledge statements, create 3 intentions. And if you do this on a regular basis, your intentions don't even have to be different. They can be the same intention over and over again. And here's a word of caution when creating intention statements. They are absolutely powerful tools to use in your growth process. But the intention statement is not focused on the outcome or the result. The intention statement is focused on something that you can control. An example of a not great intention statement is, my intention is that my children will behave all day today. You have no control over whether or not your children will behave. But what you can say is, my intention is to have love and patience for my children today. And that love and patience can look like a lot of things, including taking a break when they are driving you crazy. As you seek to learn and grow and be the best version of yourself, remember to give yourself grace and compassion each step of the way. Those who struggle with a fear of failure are also those who are most black and white in their thinking. which naturally leads to judgment about right and wrong. Don't misunderstand me. I do not agree with moral relativism. There is absolutely right and wrong in the world. It's just that the majority of things we pass judgment on aren't moral issues. It's a growth, learning, and life issue. There isn't a right or wrong. There is choice and the natural consequence of that choice. And we all need the opportunity to learn and grow. Inevitably, that growth comes with short-term failures, but major growth if we allow it. I have a question. Something you view as a failure, is it even a failure if we learn and we grow from it and we're a better person? My personal belief is that as long as we are learning and growing and being a better person for our experiences, that is success and not failure, regardless of the outcome. Because the purpose of life is not about doing the right thing at the right time, every moment of the day, whatever right is. The purpose of life is growth and joy, and that is something we can create each day, regardless of what is going on around us. Would you do me a favor? If this video has been helpful for you, would you share it with a friend or loved one that could use this same support? And remember to keep shining. We need your light.